Absolutely Talks, empowering talent for global careers. Brought to you by Absolutely French, presented by Armel Pervin.
Today, we are speaking of how human resources can play a key role in supporting dual career paths during international assignment, because as you know, to attract and retain top talents, the spouse is very important, and understanding how you can support them is also very important. So I'm really, really proud to welcome Helen and Françoise from Permits Foundation today, and Delphine, which is close to me, from the Cindex. And we are, and just to let you know that this Absolutely Talks will happen every month, every first Friday of each month. Okay? Alors, I will start with Helen. Ooh, sorry, I just take my notes a little bit. So, Helen, can you explain me what is Permits Foundation, please?
Well, thank you so much, Armel. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and really looking forward to the discussion today. And yes, I'll tell you a bit about Permits Foundation because we come at the issue of partner support from a slightly different angle. So we are a not-for-profit corporate initiative. And what we do is we don't work with individual partners, but we work at government level. So we carry out advocacy. We are a corporate initiative, so we have over 40 sponsors from companies, from other international organizations, and we work on their behalf to carry out advocacy at government level so that the accompanying partner of an international employee can also work in the host country when going on an assignment. So we try to change the legislation. And what we look for is a best practice results so that as soon as the partner is recognized as a family member, then they can work automatically. So for any employer or carry out self-employment. So this is such an important issue. It's an important issue for employers because they need to be able to move talent from one country to another. And as we know, there's an increasing number of dual career couples who are likely both to be highly skilled, who both want to be able to work when they arrive in the host country, and they need to know before they go that they have work access. So we want to give them that assurance, and that helps the company to be able to move, attract, and retain talent. But it's also helpful to the country who wants to be seen as an attractive business destination. And increasingly, countries are trying to fill skills shortages that they foresee later on or in future years. So this benefits the country. And of course, it's really beneficial to the family because it helps families to have the assurance that they can continue to work. It allows for improved health and well-being, inclusion, and integration in the host country. So it's a very nice position to be in from an advocacy perspective because we're bringing a positive change that benefits all. And as far as we know, we are the only organization that's working solely and specifically on this issue.
Yes, yes. And it's why you are here today, because I really, what you do is just amazing for all the spouse who want to work abroad. Françoise, what is the role of companies and other organizations when carrying out advocacy like this?
Yeah, first of all, thank you also, Armel, for this opportunity. And what you just mentioned, just said about you yourself having lived abroad and experienced how difficult it is when you return to your base country to find a job. I've been in the same position, having lived in many countries too. So I really understand that. But let me talk a little bit first about what triggered the setup of Permits Foundation. At the time, and I have to go back about 25 years ago, companies were faced with increased challenge moving their international staff, talent, because of dual career issues, but also because of very strict work permit regulations in many countries for spouses or partners. As you can all understand, it had impact on employee mobility and assignment take-up. And when I was going recently to our archive, I saw a note that at the time, so you're going back to the late 1990s, early this century, bear in mind that only 4 countries gave direct employment rights to spouses of what was called at the time expat workers.
Mm.
And of course, there was free movement within the EU. But the rest of the countries, you had to go through very lengthy work permit processes. And that presented a real limitation to the partners or spouses, but also to companies that would otherwise be prepared to employ them. So this long work permit process was hindering employing partners. So this group of HR managers that realized that this was becoming more and more an issue, and they were thinking, how can we do something to at least take a bit of the barrier away? They were thinking of compensation for loss of income, a contribution to a pension scheme, but you will all realize that that is just not possible. That's what's going to be too expensive. And then they thought, if we take away the work permit hurdle, then at least one big hurdle is taken away. And Helen already mentioned what we do. And that's the way the foundation was started. Because, we know that spouses still, or partners still have to find a job in an unfamiliar location. They may not speak the language, but at least they know that I have direct work access. So that is our aim. We was funded in 2001. A stichting set up in the Netherlands. Helen mentioned it already. And we have a board of directors who support us and approve strategy and finances. But most importantly, we've got a very strong group of sponsor network, sponsor support, because without them, we couldn't do our work. And our sponsors, and I don't know whether Helen is able to share the screen so that you can see the logos of the sponsors. And I'm not doing a sales pitch here, but I just want to show you the breadth of support we get from the private and the public sector, the automotive industry, pharmaceutical, energy sector, but also from a few ministries of foreign affairs and even from the United Nations. So it's the support behind our work that makes it able for us to achieve success. I don't know whether we can share the screen, but other ways we can later send you the link so that everyone can see, the breadth of support we have. Our network is crucial to us. As said, they help us with our advocacy. And some of our...
Helen, it should be okay now to share the screen. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry, Françoise.
No, I just want to say, there you can see it, just for you to get an idea of the breadth of support. And our sponsor network helps us in different ways. Some of our sponsors just are happy to sort of support with their name and because they know, and of course a financial support because they know, they believe in what we're doing, and they know that it helps them to move talent, and it at the same time it supports the families on the move.
And there is absolutely French in there.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. You're definitely there, Mel. And some of our sponsors take a more active role, and Helen will discuss that later when we go into the country advocacy that we're carrying out at the moment. Okay. But you could think of sponsors supporting us by being part of our local networks, by hosting a round table, writing letters of support to ministries, to governments, okay. And other sponsors may appoint a member to our board. So all in all, and I want to close my introduction, I think we could say it's the collective force for good that will really help us achieve success.
Thank you, Françoise. And what you do, what I really love in Paris Foundation is your map. So I hope we're going to see. So maybe it's with you, Helen.
Yes.
How about the country perspective? Huh?
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to first hear sort of some statistics from our survey on the impact on international families, or if we go straight into the map.
You can share some just quick percentage, because I'm just seeing the time,
yes,
and I want to have everybody speaking.
Yeah, maybe just quickly, Françoise, and we can share this later on. I'll just quickly show.
Yeah. Let me just our work, our advocacy work is also based on the survey, the data we gather. And I let me just go quickly to the stats, because I'm conscious of the time too. We know today that there's a change in expectation from international families. Both partners now, they expect they can continue with their careers. They're highly qualified. They want to know pre-move whether their immigration regulation allow direct work access, the need for dual income, health and well-being. And that's underpinned by the key stats from our 2022 survey. And we're happy to share it in more details later on, but let me just pick a few sort of data. 88% of the partners that hold a bachelor degree.
Yeah, just one, because we really need to go through.
Yeah, or higher.
Thank you, Françoise.
And 75% of the partners are female. I think that's important to get across too.
Still women, yes. Thank you. Can we have a look at your map? Because this is just incredible, because when you see the map, you can see in each country where the spouse can have a work visa permit.
Yeah, so let me do that, and then I will motor on. So yeah, we really want to share this map. I think it could be a very useful tool for your audience. So as I talked about earlier, the best practice case is where the partner can work directly. So for any employer, carry out self-employment as soon as they're recognised as a family member. And that's the best practice case. That's the green countries. So here on the map, we try to show this. It gives an overview. The countries where you know before you can go that there is at least one category of highly skilled international employee whose partners can access work directly. The blue countries are where you can work, but there may be some hurdles. There might be a labour market test, there might be a waiting period, you can only work for a specific employer. And the red countries where it's not possible via the dependent visa to work directly, you may have to find work in your own right. And we all know that that leads to difficulties, and often the spouse or partner doesn't end up working, and that's what we want to avoid. So here is a very useful tool for your audience. You can click into any country. I would say everything that we talked about is transparent. It's available on our website. If you want to know more, then you can look, but you can look in and see what the legislation is, what Permits Foundation is doing advocacy-wise in that country. And also we show, because we're about inclusive global mobility, that there should be a broad definition of family members who can work. So non-married partners, same-sex partners. We show where countries recognise those different types of family member, where self-employment can be carried out. Other family members, like working age children, can work. One other thing I'll just say is that if you want to know where we're working now as Permits Foundation, and we work based on the feedback of our network, the top 6 countries that have been flagged right now for us are the US, Ireland, South Africa, India, China, and Singapore. Each different with their, in the US and Ireland, there are categories of workers that can work, spouses that can work directly, but some that in Ireland, for example, intra-company transferees, partners can't. So we're carrying out advocacy with government, we're submitting evidence, holding round tables with companies to try and change the legislation. Watch this space on Ireland is what I'll say. And then different countries where it's much harder and a much longer game and a more difficult process, but we get there through our evidence-based approach, through direct contact with government officials, through letter campaigns with our networks, and each country approach is different. And we are more than welcome if there is a small issue that people are facing with regard to their international employees and their families in a country, to get in touch with us, and we can perhaps do something to see what we can do to improve the situation in terms of the legislative environment. So one last thing I'll say is we are absolutely about collaboration. We can't do this on our own. A lot of the time the work that we do is in collaboration with others. We are directly responsible for change in some countries, in others it's all about the network, and we welcome bringing together our network. So we have our conference on the 5th of June in London. I'll get the plug in now, and you can find out more about that on our website.
Yes, and we are going to share your website also in the comments. And if just to you, human resources who are listening to us, if you have any question about Permits Foundation, please write it in the comments so we could have it for after our speaking period. Thank you so much. Thank you, Helen and Françoise, for this introduction about Permits Foundation. What you do is just amazing. So thank you so much. I'm going to explain you briefly what we do, how you can help your spouses to integrate easily, and how you can help with just small things to help them integrate in their new country and help them find a job where they are going. So just to explain you, in 10 years, so when we started Absolutely French, 20% of expat partners that we welcome wanted to have a job. And now we have 80%. So it's just amazing how it changed in 10 years. So now most of expat spouses want to find a job in their new country. So you need to take that in account, because if you want to attract and retain top talents, you need to adapt your international policy to help them integrate easily. So I'm going to give you just the 5 key points that for me are really essential to help them integrate properly. So the first one, and usually most of the expats express this desire to learn the language, and the language is key to integrate in every country. So not only in France, because we do it in France, but it's everywhere. So the language is key, because when you learn the language, you can communicate with a local, you can develop your network, and of course you can understand how things work in the new country. So it's very important. It's the first key point. Then you have the culture, of course, understanding the culture, how things work, but not about the cultural differences, because usually most of the people speak about that. But the culture is also understanding how things works, what you can do, what you can't do in your new country. So, and I will just, it's more about the administrative points, it's more about the codes, security points, all of that, but they need to understand how it works in this way also. Of course, they need to understand the culture to speak to the French people, for example, but in every country is the same. But the codes and the rules are also very important in the culture. The third point is the environment, understanding how things work properly. For example, in Absolutely French, we go to the hospital and show them how it works. We go to la mairie, etc. So these are very important also. Help them. So a lot of companies do like a book to explain these things. And this is really good. Just to small books about every country. And I think Mercer is doing that also now. Mm-hmm. You have some, you can also buy already the books with completely, so it's good to have that and understand where are the private schools, where you can find them, all of this about environment, because when they understand where they are living, they feel more secure. And security is very difficult for a lot of expats, because we welcome expats and we know usually they want to stay in one part of Paris. So we try to bring them in the other part, but it's the same in every country. It's always difficult to feel comfortable in their new country. So this is and the fourth one is the network. When you arrive in a new country, it's just very, very difficult. You don't have your family, you don't have any friends. And to receive help and give after, you need to have a network. It's not only for the job market, it's also for their own family problems. It helps a lot. So give them, for example, some specific network where they can meet other people with the same language or not the same language, or, you know, networking is really key. And they can develop network not only in a community like, I don't know, any specific network for expat, but also try to make help them making connections. So it could be you in your company, you organize an event so they could meet the other expats, which is really, really important, and invite the spouses, please. But also when they do, for example, a cultural training, try to do it with other people, not just one by one. Avoid private courses, avoid this type of thing, because they missed an opportunity to meet other expats, which is really important, I think. So the network, the 5 points is the job market. Usually they don't understand the job market. They don't understand where they could have opportunities. So of course, they can find some things on internet, but if somebody from your company, an expat, for example, can, or some people, local people who are living in your company can explain them how it is to find a job here, how they can do it. That will help a lot. And you don't need necessarily to pay for someone who come and explain. You have some people in your company who can do it. So it's just use the people you have in your company to help spouses to integrate easily is also good. And it's also very good for the connection also. So this has the 5 key points. And I will add the sixth point, because, and this one is really for you as a human resources, is the recognition of their importance. Show them that they are really important for you, for your company. Show them that they are the key for the success of the expatriation. Because when, I lived abroad 7 times, never the company of my husband asking me how I felt, if I was happy in my new country. I never had any coffee with them. And I was very frustrated about that, because it just 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Yeah, I know when you have 100 expats, it's a lot. But then you can do a common coffee. So you do it with everybody. And when they come, when the spouses come, speak to them. Because, I already came to some event for spouses, and there is no word for them, but they are important for you, for the success of your expatriation. They are really important, because if they are happy, the expat is happy, and then they are more performance. They are more happy to come to a job, and it's also I think it's a
win-win.
A win-win point. Yeah, exactly. So. And you can just do a coffee meeting in the morning, or a picnic when you have a good weather outside. Or you can invite the kids, because they are also happy to see where their parents work. So it's also some easy thing to organize, and the impact, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah. May I say something here, Armel? That's something that came clearly out of our survey, that only 20%, was a survey among 700 plus partners around the world. Only 20% had opportunity to relate their concerns with HR. And they said, if we had at least, if someone would listen to us, like you say, Armel, it's very important. Yeah. I just want to underpin that, because that's also what came out of our survey.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's what the expat spouses that we welcome in Absolutely French, it's also a key point, that they really need that. And it just to recognize that they are important for you as a company. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Just if you have any question, anything that you do for your expat spouses in your company, please share it in the comments. We will be very happy to see what you already do. And if you have any question, of course, feel free to ask in the comments. So I'm really happy to have Delphine with us today. So Delphine is the director of Cindex. So I'm going to, so what is the Cindex, Delphine?
Okay. Thank you very much, Armel. I am absolutely delighted. So absolutely is a key word today. So I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you. So Cindex, it's a non-profit association whose aim is to benchmark and reflect on international mobility. So we have 4 main streams. One is HR mobility. So people gather. We have 65 companies, like 600 members. So people gather and share their best practices on mobility. Then we have a second topic, which is taxation, which becomes more and more important, especially for international remote work or, all those gray areas where companies need to improve. And then the third one is about health. So because going abroad, if you don't ensure the health of your expat, it becomes one of the key points. I mean, before thinking about their well-being, the health is part of it, and really a good part of it. And the fourth one is about security. You know that the world is such in a big mess today. So we need to, so people from security officers, they gather and they say, okay, for example, there is a coup d'etat in some places. What do we do with our expat? And when we say expat, it's the whole family. Do we need to bring them back or not? And so we share that together, and we have also the Minister of Foreign Affairs with us, so which brings a lot of value. And this association was created 40 years ago already, and one of the key main topic that they produced 40 years ago was the spouse agreement, which is like a leave, an unpaid leave during the expatriation period, like 3 or 5 years, and insurance to come back in your own country and find back your work, which is not that bad. It's not enough, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
What is important is to work.
Yeah.
But at least if you say that, if you know that you can come back and have your own business, your own work, it's still important. So this was the creation of Cindex, but then we do a lot of survey, benchmark. For example, our annual survey on type of expatriation allow us to think more about the young people. I think it's even more crucial to have a dual career for them, because they are not going to sacrifice one of the job. They want both. They want to be expatriated because they say it's one of the key attractiveness of the company, being international. But then they both want to work, which is normal. And what I see among HR, it's super important to take that into account today and say, okay, you want to expatriate someone, but what about the spouse? Do we need to be more intrusive as HR people and say, okay, we need to know your own situation and how can we support your spouse? And this becomes, like what I see as a trend, what the company tend to do with their care program. We care for our people, but we care in the headquarters, but we care also being expatriated.
Yeah.
And this comes to to be more willing to take care of the whole family, the children, the spouse, and to go more deeply on all those aspects. So, yeah.
I didn't know you do survey also, so very interesting to know that. So, okay, and so you have seen that the number of young people who go abroad fallen, huh?
Yes, yes, and I see two main reasons for that. The first one is that some countries, like if I take the example of Nigeria or Angola, they say, okay, we don't need foreigners because we have our own resources, so they are more protective. And the other point, some young people don't want to go abroad if they don't have the insurance to have a good life outside of work, and both working.
Yeah, we really want to keep their job, and
Yes.
yeah, it's a key point now when you want to recruit a top talent.
Yeah.
And return them. You need to find something to have an integration service at least. Yes, I think it's
and I think it's feasible because for me when I see all the results of for example AI in our jobs as HR, the administrative part will be supported by AI. So we can focus as HR people more on the H side. So being more human and more closer to the people.
Yeah, and it's good.
Yes,
it's good.
Yes.
So
this is the good news.
Yeah, we can save time on the other administrative points to have more human connection. So it's really, really good. What happened is good for the spouse if we take care of them. Yeah. Okay. Do you have something else to share about Cindex for the human resources who are watching us?
Yes, okay. For me, I think it's important to have this type of network. So, for example, I organize co-devs, which are, it's a collective intelligence support. So where HR people gather and one of them bring as a client an issue and the others bring solutions. Because if you are on your own, it's like networking also on this side. If you are on your own, sometimes you don't see the issue, how to solve your issue. But when you have people around you outside of your day-to-day work, they would see solutions. So for me, as HR people, go outside of your comfort zone and your usual network. Go outside.
And it's exactly the same for the spouses.
Yes.
So it's exactly what we use in Absolutely French. Intelligence collective is very good also to look when you want to look for a job.
Of course.
So it should be used everywhere. I agree with you about that part. Yes. Thank you, Delphine. So so now we have several minutes for your questions, if you have questions, to Permits Foundation or the Cindex or myself. We will be happy to. So I've seen that Angela is coming from. Where do you come from? Kuala Lumpur. Yes. And Yvonne, I don't see where. So if you have any question, please share it with us now. We will be happy to answer. And of course, we are going to share all the links about Cindex and Permits Foundation on this page just after.
And I'd be happy to say something because I think it ties in, Delphine, with what you were saying about the human side of the move. And I think I was speaking to somebody recently who said that in their company, they're imagining what their future workforce will look like. And how do you then foster? Do you expect it to be this sort of, at the moment or in the past, it was a male, single or married man traveling, and in the future, what will it look like? Will there be a younger workforce? Would you like to see more women in leadership positions and therefore allowing them or providing the environment for them to move internationally? And I think that's where what we're all doing helps to achieve that with the right environment for work access and recognizing that in many destinations it's expensive. So it's actually a necessity for both members of the couple to be able to work nowadays. So it's just something that when companies sort of connect those dots and then they see the benefit of the human side and nurturing the whole family, then it really is beneficial to all.
Yeah, and also because the international assignments, the policies change, you have now more permanent moves on a different remuneration package. So as Helen said, dual income is important there, and also what Delphine said, have a look at a younger generation. That's very important. their look on assignments is different. The assumption that both of them can continue to work is almost a given for them. And I think that's very important to bear in mind.
Yeah, and what we saw, for example, in the Cindex, we had a reflection on how to increase the number of women expatriated. And we saw that the dual career is even more important because they take more into consideration their husband or their spouse work, ability to work. Even more, and even we were thinking about having programs to support also the grandparents, because we are more taking care of the elder people and so maybe a program including or having a possibility to choose. Yes, so there's a Permits Foundation supporting to try to get a permit to work.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also maybe sometimes, if it's possible, we are some companies are thinking about international teleworking.
Yeah. More and more. Yeah. And what I've seen in Absolutely French is that when we started, it was 100% of expat spouses, women expat spouses, and now we are 27% of men. So it's a very good point to see that more and more women, more and more expat women. So it's good. It's good to see the difference. There is a comment when I think, okay,
with other forms of employment, like
entrepreneurship. When we say job is of course it can be entrepreneurship. Sure. Yeah,
and supporting to create their own company.
Very good point.
Or to volunteer in association also. It can be.
For me, it's good to develop competencies, but I'm not totally agree with benevolence, because it should be a short time and just to make connections, develop your network, and then you find a job, because you need to earn money. So
what we decided,
cash.
An early kid is to give cash. Okay.
That can be used however the spouse needs. Yes, it's really good. And we work with early kids, so it's really good what they propose, because
being more flexible.
Exactly. And it's to adapt to their needs. Very good point also to know that. So they can go to a headhunter or any needs they want. So really interesting also, Alexandra. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's challenging.
An important challenge
to try.
Of course.
And
it's always difficult.
Yes, and I just would say that with Permits Foundation, although we work on, in particular on the work access aspect, that's only to have the access. It's not a guaranteed job, and we realise that for the spouse, when they get there, they still have to face all of the problems, the different culture environment, the language issues that require the extra help in different ways. So what we do is complementary to the work that other organizations are doing, and it's not maybe be all and end all, but it's extremely important.
Like what Absolutely French is doing. We we make sure that there is direct work access for the recognized partner, and then there needs to be help on the ground sometimes to help them obtain a job in as Helen said, in an unfamiliar location.
So network is very important. Also for them. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So I think it's just time to hand. So I thank you, Françoise, Helen from Permits Foundation, to be here, and I thank you, Delphine.
Thank you
to be in real with me, close to me. So the Cindex is there today. So thank you so much to be here. The next one will be the 3rd of May. With Nicolas Jolet. Nicolas Jolet is the CEO of the National Australia Bank Europe in Paris, and she did something wonderful with expat spouses. So I invite you to join us for our next event in the first Friday of May. And it's
Absolutely.
yes, thank you. And I will conclude with one sentence, because you know what we do in Absolutely French. We want to make expat spouses more visible. So I will end with this sentence. Please don't forget that expat spouses are absolutely talented. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you too, Armel, and nice to see you, Delphine.
Yeah,
Have a
thank you.
Have a good weekend, all.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
all for watching us.
Bye-bye.
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 Bye.
Absolutely Talks, empowering talent for global careers. Brought to you by Absolutely French,